My name is Michael Fanjoy, and I am originally from Sanford, Maine. My role at a Pennsylvania Adult and Teen Challenge is Vice President of Clinical Services. We currently have outpatient license programs, we have a detoxification withdrawal management license program, and we have a residential inpatient license program, and so I oversee all the operations. I first heard about Pennsylvania Adult and Teen Challenge when I was in the program. I had over 12 years of active drug use. Substance use became a major part of my acceptance and who I was, and so I would use any type of substance that I could get my hands on just to not feel myself. So fast forward a few years, I was arrested many times, I was in jail many times, and I kind of did this cycle of substance use, getting in trouble, getting arrested, family bailing me out, maybe sobering up for a month or so, telling them I'm going to stop, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to go to school. None of that panned out, ended up getting back into drugs and alcohol. And I was around 26 at this age, 25, when I finally got to the point of, not having any more resources. My family didn't want to have anything to do with me anymore. Friends started to not want to have anything. I was living on the streets basically from couch to couch or living under bridges and things like that. I weighed 130 pounds, soaking wet, hadn't showered for weeks. And so I called my sister crying, and she said, I have a place for you to go. And she goes, I'm going to come and pick you up. And so she came, picked me up, brought me back. I didn't have any clothes or anything. She said, you need to pack. I said, how long do I pack for? She said, I don't know, pack for a week. I have a place, this place called Teen Challenge. Through a series of events, my sister won out. They got me a bed. I went up there. I basically went through withdrawal for 3 days in the bed, pretty significantly, throwing up and sweats and vomiting, and it was rough. And then on the third day, as crazy as it is, I came down to prayer. They had prayer in the morning, every morning, and walked into prayer. I broke down. I was at a point of desperation, and I turned my life over to Jesus Christ. And since then, I've been walking with him, ever since. I got into the Word, and that's what really God started to speak, the renewal of the mind through the washing of the Word, And once I started to really meditate on that scripture, that portion of scripture, and I started to catch myself memorizing these scriptures that I had no business memorizing, and in progressing through that, I started to really see how God was renewing my mind through the Word, and just attitude and spirit also, and going from a defeated attitude to I can type of attitude through the power of Christ. And so as I continued in that, I went on to school. I got a major in psychology and a minor in pastoral counseling. I ended up getting married in school too. Found my wife at University of Valley Forge. We decided to go into our master's program together for clinical psychology at Immaculata University. At the program that I was at in New England, and along with a lot of teen challenges, there wasn't any formally trained counselors at all. And then when I went to the University of Valley Forge and I started in psychology major, and I met the chairman head of psychology, and he was an ordained pastor of the Assembly of God and also a licensed professional counselor in teaching theories and techniques of psychology. That really started to enlist the calling that I have, that I'm able to kind of flesh out here as the Vice President of Clinical Services, is the integrative model of clinical counseling and theories and techniques and biblical principles. I really gained a passion for the integrative approach, and really to me it was very clear to see as I'm studying what Freud did. I'm saying like Jesus did this way before Freud did this. Why isn't anyone making these connections? Person-centered techniques. God sat with the prostitute at the well. I mean, how much more person-centered can you get than that, And so I just had the ability to be able to make those connections very early on, and I took that with me throughout my studies. And then I never felt like I would come back to Teen Challenge or Adult and Teen Challenge And I had been in a transitional period in my career with my wife and I. Also, we kind of were, through a series of events, we were kind of reevaluating what we were doing and trying to reconnect with God. It was kind of an interesting spiritual time that was going on in our life that this happened. And so I came out here, I spoke with Chris. He kind of shared the vision of what was going on and kind of what he calls Project 80 had been that part of it. And I was like, that is awesome. This is what I want to do. This is what I believe is kind of what I'm also called to be a part of also. And so he gave me an opportunity for employment up here, and I accepted. And that was in May of 2016 is when I accepted employment up here. And that is when we started the clinical programs. And I came up and started to engineer a lot of the new short-term that we have now and the detox and all the different programs, and to start to work on the integrative type of approach that we're doing between the continuum of care from detox to short-term to long-term, and trying to figure out how to make it all work together while always at the same time keeping Christ as the center of the piece. Because as you can see, Jesus is so very, very important in my life and so instrumental in everything that I've been able to, achieve up to this day. There's a term that the church I attend to, GT, I heard it first from the lead pastor there, is the message. The message never changes, but the method must, And that's another one of those things of changing the method, always working to change the method, but never changing the message, is that we're constantly, we're constantly facing new challenges to be able to deliver the message of hope and transformation. And because that we're constantly facing those new challenges to deliver that message of hope and transformation, we have to be constantly learning how to deliver it in a new way and a new message. And that's to me, that's where the integration of counseling techniques and theories and clinical comes to the biblical models and principles. Just to full circle, only through the power of God, that someone like me who couldn't even memorize 3 sentences and used, drugs for over 13 years could go on to doing that type of thing. It's very amazing, but and I'm so grateful because of what God has kind of helped me through.